It's been a long time. I'm still here in Toronto. You might be hearing the sirens in the background. Now, 2024 was a very, very eventful year for me. And today I want to just talk about some of the experiences I've had and how much I learned from these experiences and what I've learned from them. And I hope that you're gonna find them useful and that you can apply some of what I've learned in your life as well. Let's get started. 2024 began with actually reconsidering my friendships and reconsidering the people that I keep close to myself. So, what do I mean by that? I met a lot of amazing people in 2023, but at the same time, as time went by, I realized at that time when I met those people around April 2023 and throughout the summer, it was amazing. It was amazing to learn about these people, to spend time with them, to make new friends. And I grew so much from what I've learned from them. But at the same time, we had some substantial differences. And I had to distance myself from the group because I realized, first of all, I remember who I am. I am an introvert. Doesn't matter how much I post on YouTube. Doesn't matter if when you meet me and I've just had a cappuccino, I look like I'm ready to talk to everyone and anyone. Sometimes I am like that, and I do love talking to people, and I get a lot of energy from talking to people, but my social battery is short. So I am an introvert, and the dynamics of keeping up with a group of people, I'm talking 10, 20 people that you meet every week. It was a community, and it was amazing to be part of that community for some time. But then I realized that our values were not necessarily aligned, and also I was becoming something or someone that was too far off from my true identity. Again, I'm an introvert. I changed my profile picture on my personal account to Eren Yeager because I love anime and I've been posting too many pictures of myself. Why? Why was I doing that? I don't do that anymore now. And I really want to share more photographs that I take of nature, of my surrounding environment, of cool things I see. I don't really want to focus on myself. That's not me. And I was just going with the flow, but it was a bad flow. It was a flow of having to keep up with all these people who are not necessarily introverts like me, and all the expectations they have of you and the expectations you have of them, keeping up with all that, it was very taxing. I really want a few friends who are close to me to be in my life. And not just that, I distanced myself from that group of people on purpose. But then something else happened. Two really good friends turned out to be also people who I might not want to spend too much time with. Especially as I was facing some kind of difficult times. In 2023, it turned out that my the startup I was working for, the CEO was a scammer. He was a scammer that scammed people out of millions of dollars. And I didn't have my job anymore as soon as he fled Canada or the US, wherever he was. So I had to find a new job. And my good friends from 2022 were not there. And all that led to the beginning of 2024, where the friends I had made were not really the same as the friends I had back then in 2022. Even though I really liked spending time with them, but they're not surrogates for other people. I really believe that people are unique. And every relationship with other humans that we have is unique. It just didn't work out. So I also had to distance myself from these two friends that I thought were really good friends, but they turned out to not be that good. They turned out to, I think they changed as well. We're always changing, right? And they changed as well, and they went in a direction that was different from the one I was going into, and I had to distance myself from them. And it was a very tough time. It was a very tough time to not have the people that I used to hang out with every week together. At the same time, for most of 2024, I was working as a freelancer, making websites for two small companies that my friends introduced me to, which is amazing. And that was really, really an amazing experience. That was really an amazing part of my whole 2024. As I was working in those jobs, there were a few obstacles, and those obstacles also coincided with me not having those two good friends with me anymore. And at the same time, I was looking for understanding from the people around me, and understanding of the world from my perspective. And I discovered something amazing. Around March or April 2024, I stumbled upon this bookstore that is really popular, but also kind of not so special in some ways. It's called Indigo. You can find many of them here in Toronto. But then there's this one where there's a grand piano in the store that anyone can play. And they have 2 floors. And it just mesmerized me how beautiful the music that was being played on that grand piano was. And at the same time that I could access so many books, and I stumbled upon some knowledge that really changed my life dramatically. I don't even remember how. I don't even remember how I opened that book. Did I find it online first while I was searching one night? I don't even remember now. But I started reading this book, Meditations. Meditations, it's not about meditating, not in the sense that we usually think of today. It's about thinking about, meditating, but it's about meditating about your thoughts and about yourself, not like sitting in the lotus position and trying to find your inner self. It's not spiritual in that sense. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius, he was an emperor in ancient Rome, and he lived around between 160 and 200 CE. And as he was living his life and attending to his duties as the emperor of Rome, he used to write a diary or a journal. And that journal became this book that now we call Meditations. But actually, Marcus Aurelius never gave it a name. So we could say it's Marcus Aurelius' journal. And his thoughts are so profound and so beautiful that I felt so changed from learning about all that, and especially thinking about the parallels between the world of 2,000 years ago and the world of today. It was beautiful. It was beautiful to discover that reading what this person wrote so long ago resonated so much with me, and I'm sure it would resonate with a lot of people, and most people, I believe. And humans are still the same. 2,000 years later, we are still the same. We do have all these beautiful things, like we have electricity, we have our phones, I'm filming with my phone right now. We have all this plasticky stuff that doesn't get destroyed. We can use the same plastic all over again to the point that it's accumulating on our planet and it's actually damaging it, which is also very interesting to think about. The double-edged sword of our technology today. I felt like I was talking to him. I felt like Marcus Aurelius was my teacher, and not one of those teachers you have in school. Some people in school, some teachers in school are good, they're kind, very few in my opinion or in my experience. But this teacher was different. And let me add something, because just a few days ago I was watching this video. It was Steve Jobs in 1983 talking to a crowd about Apple and design principles in the future. And I was so stunned because he predicted that we would be able at some point be able to access the knowledge of people who lived in the past, and geniuses that lived in the past, great scientists, great philosophers. We would be able to access their knowledge and ask them questions. And I related so much to Steve Jobs in 1983, before I was born, the moment he said he didn't have a good time at school, especially because of the teachers, but the great thing that saved him from wanting to drop out, from just having a miserable life, was being able to access information directly from the people who discovered that knowledge for the first time, or that elaborated on that knowledge. And let me explain this simply. I was between April 2024 and July 2024, I was reading Marcus Aurelius, and I was using ChatGPT to simulate talking to him and getting answers from him. This is exactly what Steve Jobs was talking about in 1983. And I was and I am flabbergasted right now that Steve Jobs predicted this, and actually I shared the same thought with him decades later. And he's right. He's right in the sense that it's so beautiful to get knowledge from a great philosopher like Marcus Aurelius or Aristotle, or a scientist like Stephen Hawking. Just getting that knowledge directly from them through the books, because they're the greatest teachers. As I was reading Marcus Aurelius' journal, and as I was virtually interacting with Marcus Aurelius himself, I came to learn so much, and I developed a habit of going to Indigo multiple times a week to read that book there. It was a beautiful routine that really kept me healthy, and it gave me purpose. And it really felt like, for the first time in my life, I was going to university and I was following a university program in philosophy, and it was in some way my own university. But at the same time, I had a teacher, and that teacher was Marcus Aurelius, which is crazy. It felt as if I had discovered a whole new world, but it was the world we already live in. And I had discovered a new way to see everything that's happening around me, and to truly internalize this set of values that Marcus Aurelius shared in the journal. It took me a few months after I had finished reading the book. And it was beautiful the moment I realized I had actually internalized those values, and now I can't even remember how I was before. I forgot. I don't even know how did I see the world before. At the same time, I was growing my hair, and that was a very conscious decision I took because I wanted to try something new, and because a lot of the people, not a lot, but like few people that I regarded with a lot of respect, and they're artists. I don't know them personally, but those people, I wanted to be like them, at least in some ways. One of those ways was to have longer hair. Now my hair is not that long anymore, but it used to be way longer. It used to go all the way here. And I was growing my hair, and I had discovered Fujikaze. Now he's my favorite, absolute favorite Japanese artist. He plays the piano and he's a singer. You should check him out. And his music truly healed me. And at the same time, I was building these healthy habits and routines to follow that kept everything around me in order. So I would work on my freelance projects for a few hours in the morning, a few hours in the afternoon, sometimes a few hours at night. I never worked more than 2 or 3 hours in a row because I really do not find that productive. And it was amazing that I had the possibility to actually follow that work schedule, because when you have a full-time job, you don't have that opportunity. After working for a few hours, in the afternoon I would go out for a walk. I would really enjoy my surroundings, the vibrancy of the city and the trees and the sunshine. And I would get something to drink, like a bubble tea or a latte, all that together. The caffeine and being one with your surroundings and being present. That was really beautiful, and I wish I could do that now too, but it's snowing outside and we're having this really harsh winter this year. So it's really hard to do that now, and there's no sunshine. But yeah, looking back, it was really beautiful, and I'm looking forward to do that again as soon as the sunshine is back. And there was one key, I wouldn't say moment, but it's like a saga or part of a saga. It's a key time in my 2024. It was when I started discovering the U of T campus here in Toronto. It's accessible to the public, and you can walk around, and the energy there is really good. It's a university campus. People are young. They still have hope for the future, and we should all still have hope for the future and fight for our future as a humanity. And I witnessed the U of T encampment for Palestine, where the students put up tents on the lawn of the university, and it's a big circle. It's called King's Circle, and they gave it a new name. They called it the Circle for Palestine. And there were many universities across Canada and the US where students did something like this. But I had this opportunity, this beautiful, amazing, and I would say historic opportunity to be there and see them in person, even though I did not participate. And I would walk sometimes at night when the weather was warm, and I would follow the news about the city wanting to, well, actually it was not the city, but the university itself wanting to close the encampment and wanting them out. And it made me think a lot. It made me reflect a lot on everything that's going on. How the university would turn against their own students and threaten them because the university did not want them to fight for 1 million plus people who were encircled by a much bigger power, and they were attacked and they were bombed and shot at. And their water supplies were cut on purpose as an act of war. And even their roads, like all their supplies were cut on purpose to make them starve, to make them suffer. And the university cared so much about their involvement with Israel that they would turn against their own students. And I really rooted for them. And I was there almost every night at some point. It was first very encouraging to see them fighting for a better future for everyone. And it was then very sad to see that the university did not want to alter in any ways their connection to Israel because they're getting money from it. And they did not want to alter that at all. And in the end, a court decided that the police was authorized to kick them out by force. And most of them left peacefully, but seeing that lawn empty that day after the decision of the court, it was really, really sad. I wish that circle could keep the name Circle for Palestine rather than King's Circle. But hey, everyone has different connections to different people, and for some people the king is very important, and so that's a King's Circle. And I participated in one of the protests for Palestine myself. It got pretty heated, but I know that if I don't do anything, I will regret it. Many, many things happened in 2024 and now even more in 2025. And I'm talking, the war in Palestine. I'm talking Trump. I'm talking fascism, authoritarianism coming back. But that's something we can talk about another day. And so what I'm saying here is that 10 or 20 years down the road, we will know who was on the right side of history, and I want to be on the right side of history. Now, on a completely different note, I usually don't like talking about dating or romantic life, but I do want to mention it is not fun. And let me tell you why. Let me tell you what I understood, what I learned about this experience. One thing is what I call reduction of human value. Anyone can go to a small town and see that usually people there will treat other human beings with more respect and more importance and more time because there are few humans there. And it is clear that every human is an individual with a life of their own. They have their own world. And that has to be respected. But in a big city, it is less like that. There are many people around, and it's not just that. It's also the fact that, especially in my opinion, the real multiplier factor of this reduction of human value is dating apps and social media. So let's just start from social media. You'll see if you are on any social media, I mean, most people are, and every day you get bombarded with information that you do not need and short videos with dancing girls and the most useless stuff, very stupid stuff, and you're gonna be exposed to all these people that have a lot of money, or it looks like they have a lot of money, or they have something you don't have, and that makes resentment grow in people, and then that's reflected in real life later afterwards. And then that resentment from social media, after it gets reflected in real life, it goes back to social media when people that receive that resentment post again, and it creates this vicious cycle. It's really full of negativity. It's really bad. And that also contributes a lot to the reduction of human value. So what happens then? You're on a dating app. People, even before you're on a dating app, most people are using dating apps. So if you're not on there, you're really decreasing your chances of finding a partner. And I do have to say that I share the struggle of many men who are feeling disillusioned by Western society today, because just think about this. Women are usually more educated than men, and in most cases they date up, meaning they want someone more educated than them. They want someone that makes more money. But at the same time, they perform better at school, and they're usually also more suited to office work where it is required of people to be very agreeable, which usually women are more agreeable than men. And men traditionally can perform better in other types of jobs that are not as much valued today as they were in the past. So it is a particular time for men in Western society. Also, I do need to mention that, I don't like to call people with collars, but I am part of what people usually call white straight male, which is probably, from a social perspective, the least desirable position, the least desirable social position that you'd want to have in America or Canada, especially if you're young, because people grew up with these ideas that are really perverse about really discriminating on other people based on gender and race, which is really funny because all these societal changes that were supposed to create a society where those differences do not make people discriminated, but rather there are words I don't want to use. I don't want to use the words they use because I find them really at times sickening. So what I'm just saying is that sometimes there is discrimination on purpose towards white, straight men. And I really hope, and I think that also contributes to part of the problems in dating, especially if you're in Toronto, downtown. Most people are not white. And I truly hope that we can move forward from this and respect people based on their individuality, regardless of what they look like. So dating, it sucks, but just like anything in life, if you really work towards your goal and you put effort, it will pay off. And for me, it did pay off because I did meet someone that I really like, and she's my girlfriend now, and that's awesome. And let me tell you, in August, last week of August, in a sudden turn of events, I received a job offer in a big company, and I met the girl that would then become my girlfriend. That's amazing. That's something that even now it's hard to believe for me. And in November, I went to my friend's wedding in Japan. But let me tell you, I'm not talking about any friends. They are like a family to me. I met them here in Toronto, and then they moved back to Japan. You know, they were already a couple, and they invited me to their wedding, and I feel like I'm truly treated as a part of their family when I'm there with them. I feel so welcomed. And I've been to Japan once a year for the past 3 years, and I've loved it. Every time. It was so much fun, even though there was a little bit of language barrier when I lived in Tokyo for 2 months last year. I still felt amazing, and never once I felt like, oh my god, I can't live here, or something like that. No, on the contrary, I felt great there. And the time I spent there in November 2024 was also amazing. The wedding was spectacular. It was the first wedding I had attended ever. And seeing my friends again, it was really, really an experience that stays with me and will stay with me for my whole life. Now, to conclude the 2024 saga, in October, just before I went to the wedding, I bought an electric bike, a new electric bike. Some of you may know that my electric bike was stolen before, and I was using a regular bicycle, but now I bought a new electric bike. It's really good. It can go very fast, not too fast. But yeah, it's just so useful and so convenient to move around in downtown Toronto. Way better than transportation, in my opinion. And on December 1st, I moved to a studio apartment, and finally, I live by myself, which is kind of like a long-awaited dream since I first moved out of my family's place, and I worked in different countries, and I've always lived in a shared accommodation, and now I live by myself in Toronto. How did the year end? Okay, holiday time. I don't like the holidays. I don't like the holiday season, to be specific. I'm okay with some holidays, but December in Canada, in Toronto, it's dark, really dark. It's gray and dark every day, without breaks, and it's cold. And my family is not here. It's really not a good time to celebrate anything. And I'm really not into that hot chocolate thing. I'm not into snow. It's really not a great time. But, someone decided that 31st of December, that's the day when the year ends. And so that's how my year ended. It ends like that every year. It's holiday season and it's winter. It sucks. But now it's 2025. It still sucks. No, okay, not the year, but it's winter. It's still winter and it sucks. But in just a couple of months, it's gonna get better. The days get longer. There's gonna be more sunshine. I'm really looking forward to that. And I have many, many goals that I want to work on this year. And just to conclude, I think we have a lot of challenges as a society in Canada and the US this year. But I think we can fight and we will fight, and we will not let people like Trump we will not let people like Trump ruin our existence. So with that, I just want to say ganbatte, keep fighting, and always do your best, and I'll see you in the future.